So that is about how we at Scopus look at journal quality and how we select the journals for the Scopus database. But once these journals are included in the Scopus database, you can also look at the metrics that we have and use them to assess the quality yourself of these journals. But I think it's good to remember that there are two golden rules when you apply research metrics for research assessments. The first one is that you should always use both qualitative and quantitative input into your decisions. For example, when I was describing the benchmarks for re-evaluation, the benchmarks and the metrics itself is the quantitative input that we have for making these decisions. But then the CSAB, the Content Selection Advisory Board, they look at the journals, they assess the journals to see if these can still be covered in the database. So that is the quantitative part of the input into the decision. And the second rule that we would like to recommend is that you should always use more than one research metric as the quantitative input. Because how good that metric is one metric can never give the complete picture of the performance of a journal. Also, as the example of the re-evaluation and the benchmarks that I've shown, only one metric doesn't give the complete view of the performance of the journal. It should always be more than one particular metric that you look at. So based on this, at Scopus, we have developed a basket of metrics, which gives a multidimensional view of journal performance. And this is in two dimensions, and the first dimension you can see on the slide now, which is the entities to which metrics can apply. Which can be, for example, an article, it can be a journal that we are looking at right now, but it can also be an author or an institution or a group. Also good to remember is that if you have a metric that you should also, if you look at a certain entity, then you should also choose a metric that is relevant to that entity. For example, if you are assessing journals, you should not use an author metric because that is really assessing authors and that is not assessing journals, and also vice versa. So always use the right metric with the right entity that you are looking at. The second dimension that we have in the basket of metric is the type of metric. So for the journals, for example, community, that can be the editors, the board, and the authors that are publishing or associated with the journal. Contributions is, for example, the number of articles as the output of that journal. Consumption, so how many times have the articles been used or cited and by whom. The scholarly impact, so what is the impact of the articles published in the journal on the scholarly community, but also the social impact, so for example, the media mentions and the social media mentions that are the articles that are published in that journal. So with this two-dimension basket of metrics, here are a few examples of the different metrics that you can use. Since we are looking at journals and trying to assess the quality of the journals, I would like to focus on the journal level metrics. For example, SNP and STR. SNP and STR are two different journal level metrics that we have available at Scopus, and they look at a combination of citations and a number of documents. Also, you can see on this slide a white box with entry point metric, and that is a metric that I would like to introduce today, which is a new metric that we're going to launch, and that will help you to give a very easy and quick view of the quality of a particular journal. So this entry point metric, it will have two different things. It will have a widget which can be available on all different websites, which is freely to be used, and it gives the score of that particular metric for that journal, and also the percentile of that score in the particular subject field of that journal. So in this case, the score is 3.49, and that journal scores in the 94th percentile in the category of medicine. So that gives you immediately an idea of the absolute value of the score, but also in the context of the subject field, how does it rank with other peer journals. And then on the right-hand side, you can see a preview of something that we will also release at that time, which is in Scopus.com, free functionality to look at the journal performance of all journals that are included in the Scopus database. So we'll use this new metric in there, but also some more details about which documents are published in that journal, how many times they are cited over the years, how is the trend of the metric over years, and also how is the breakdown of the different documents published in that particular journal. So this is a new metric that will be released in June, and it will give everybody an easy way to assess the journal quality of journals included in the Scopus database.